Chelsea versus Palmeiras, 2 a.m. kickoff, early hours of this morning. We will see and hope we get through to the next round of the Club World Cup. Welcome back to From the Shed and welcome back to the channel. If you're new, make sure you subscribe, leave your thoughts in the comments, all that good stuff as well. But Palmeiras, a team that, look, I mean, the Brazilian teams in this Club World Cup have been brilliant. And not just the teams, not just the performances, but the fans have made it feel like they're playing in Brazil. They've made it feel like a home ground, a home stadium. But we do come into this game with some good news. Nicholas Jackson's back from suspension. We've got Joao Pedro now registered to play in the Club World Cup. Will he make his debut? There is some downsides to it. We know that Moises Caicedo from the previous game is now suspended for this game. We also know Benoit Badiashile potentially will, well, he's out. He's not playing for us. I don't think I'd start him anyway. But we also know as well, Romeo Lavia is a massive doubt. Lavia potentially will not be playing in this game. So there are some sort of doubts in there in terms of how we might line up tonight, how we're going to attack the game, how we're going to line up, what's our midfield going to look like. There's loads of questions and some that Maresca's going to have some difficult choices to make in the midfield. But I do have to say this as well. I'm pretty sure Gustavo Gomes, the captain for Palmeiras, I believe potentially will be suspended for this game. Now, he's been amazing for them. He's been he's the captain, he's been brilliant for them. But of course, the media, the media dubbing this, Estevao versus Chelsea, and Maresca rightfully in his press conference did kill that straight away. He said, this is not a Estevao Chelsea fixture. He plays for them. He's not a Chelsea player at the moment. Of course, he's loaned from us, but he's not a Chelsea player at the moment. He hasn't spoken to him, which I think is the right thing to do. I mean, focus on your own club and the players that you've got, to your disposal. But we have to guard against complacency. We know how good, he's picked up a couple of man of the match performances so far for Palmeiras. And we know what Estevao brings. If you've watched him in the Club World Cup, you'll see what his talents are. We have to guard against that. We have to guard against that. This is not a game where we can afford to do what we did against Flamengo, who, were there, for the taking, and we didn't see it over the line. But we also have to remember we've got history against Palmeiras. If you think back to the 2021 Club World Cup, where I think, if I remember correctly, Veiga for Palmeiras scored first, and then I think it was Lukaku and Kai Havertz in extra time to get us a 2-1 win against them. We have got history against this team. Now, I liked a lot of what we got to see against Benfica. I think it shouldn't have gone on for too long. Obviously, the 2-hour delay didn't help, but I think there's things in that game that I was looking at. I was thinking, right, this is the Chelsea that we need to see. Maybe line up minus Moises Caicedo, line up in the next round if we was to get through, and we did. So I think with Palmeiras, I think we have to just guard against the complacency. I think we need to make sure that the midfield and the defence, more so the defence, is compact, is working as a unit. This is, for me, I want to say this as well. This is probably one of the best periods of football I've got to see from Reece James in a very, very long time. Managing his minutes seems to have worked well for Maresca. I think that was probably the best thing he could have done, was manage minutes and get as much minutes from Reece James in the Club World Cup as opposed to in the Premier League, which I think he's done very well. But we're seeing how well Reece James can play as a right back. He can drop into that midfield and invert. The same for Cucurella as well on the other side. We need to see a lot more of that in this game. And I think the key thing for me, obviously with no Caicedo, who's been massive, is Enzo Fernandez, because I think in this tournament so far, he's been brilliant. He's scored goals. He's chipped in with assists as well. And it's gonna be a difficult game. That midfield is gonna be overrun. At times, I think, you look at the way that Palmeiras will play, they'll overrun things, they'll overload potentially our box as well, in terms of the attackers that they pull forward. They're not going to sit back and allow us to dictate the game. This is where I think Maresca, the choices that he makes are going to be so crucial in terms of his lineup. And I say this so often on here, but I think the key areas will be also, who does he bring in? Does he start Joao Pedro from the very start? Does he reintegrate Nicholas Jackson straight away? There's a lot of questions outstanding. For me, it'll be, I've said it last week, we're on the best side of the Club World Cup at the moment. We avoid the PSGs, the Real Madrids. We avoid all that. I think if we win this game, we'll have Fluminense in the next round, I think. So it's all in our favour. It's all in our favour to get to that final on the 13th of July. And I think if we can get this win over the line, I think it would spark a lot of confidence in these players. You know, some of them, you know, you look at the likes of Pedro Neto, who, you know, going through so much emotion potentially over the last 24 hours, and not just him, you know, there'll be other players in the team that will potentially have known Jota. I think they'll want to support their teammate in Pedro Neto. They'll want to make sure that, you know, although he's going through a very difficult time at the moment, I'm pretty sure, you know, the team will rally around him and try and get the win. More so, not just for Neto, but I think, for me personally, I think Neto should start. I think he should start in the game. I think, you know, Maresca was asked the question in the press conference whether he needs time away from the club. And, you know, I think he's made it evidently clear that, you know, that's the choice of Pedro Neto if he wants to take time out. It sounds like Neto wants to continue to play. And I think sometimes the best thing to do is to continue, continue playing the football that he knows he can play. And he's been one of our better players in the tournament as well. So I think Neto, for me, will start the game. I'm trying to work out on the fly, literally as I'm talking, what my lineup's going to be. So let's try and do it together. I haven't even pre-thought of a lineup. I'm just doing this literally on the fly. So I think it will be Sanchez in goal. I think Sanchez will be the goalkeeper. He's been the main one for us. He's been the goalkeeper that Maresca's favoured throughout the Premier League season. And even so, I feel like as time's progressing, Sanchez is becoming a little bit more confident, especially in his distribution. I know he's been a bit shaky in a couple of the games so far in the tournament, but I do feel that he's getting a bit better over the time. So I think it was Sanchez in goal. I think Reece James, right back, has to start. No Malo Gusto, no makeshift right back. I think Palmeiras will be difficult to break down at times, and they will attack us in the same breath as well. So I think we need to have our consistent defensive line. I say all that to say that Tosin and also Levi Colwell, Marco Correa would make up the defensive line, the back four. I think Tosin's been amazing. For the fact we got him on a free, and the fact that he seems to be the one that's able to lead and command and, you know, nurture in some ways some of the younger defenders that we've got. I think for me, you know, for a free and how he's played in this tournament, you know, got a goal when it mattered as well. For me, he's been instrumental. So I think Tosin alongside Levi Colwell. Now, this is where it gets a bit tricky. Moises Caicedo suspended. It's tricky. I'm going to be honest. I want to say Andre Santos start the game. I think he has to start. We know that Lavia is a massive doubt. If he's not fit enough and he's out this game, it has to be Enzo Fernandez. I like Asugo, but I don't think you can have Asugo and Santos in the midfield, and then you're like a knife through butter. It just wouldn't. It's just stupid to do that. So I think Enzo, who's been again a catalyst in the midfield, someone who's going to be able to, you know, break up play in that midfield, be the engine almost in the midfield of the team, alongside Santos in that midfield. Again, hopefully if Lavia is potentially able to make the bench, we can bring him on during the game. The three going forward, again, this is tricky because part of me wants to start Pedro Neto, and I think he will start tonight. I think he'll start. I think Maresca will start him, but you do have to question his mentality at the moment. Is he even up to the game? You know, we're not talking about someone he played with just for, you know, a week or two, someone that he calls a friend, someone that he's, you know, been on national teams with and played with at Wolves as well. So it's not like they must have had like a unbelievable bond, you know, as like, you know, friends, brotherhood. You know, he's just something you can't just remove that from your mind. So I think it will be difficult. I think if Neto does play, like I said before, I think sometimes the best thing is to continue to do something, or, you know, not just be sat around. So I think Maresca will play Neto, and I think he'll start him. I think I'd see Neto on the right. I think for me, Noni Madueke, a lot of talk about him potentially going to Arsenal, and I think that's why, because I've been looking at Madueke in the games and I've been thinking there's something about him that just doesn't seem right. He's been playing on the left. I use that as a bit of an excuse, maybe put him on the right. But even on the right-hand side, he still doesn't look like he's up for playing, and maybe his head's all scrambled with the Arsenal move. Maybe he wants that move to Arsenal. So I think Madueke has to sit this one out. I think for me personally, I would play Pedro Neto on the right-hand side with Cole Palmer as the 10. I said it last week, I'm going to say it again. I need to see more from Cole Palmer. I need to see more from Cole Palmer. This is Cole Palmer that was lighting up the Premier League last season. And this is now Cole Palmer that I'm struggling to find any qualities about. So I think for me, he has to make something happen in this game tonight. He has to make something happen. He has to unlock the defense. He has to create chances for himself and take the shot on and try and score goals. That's what he's in the team to do. You know, it's a massive role. The problem for Cole Palmer right now is I feel like that number 10 role is at jeopardy. It's not nailed down Cole Palmer's anymore. I think Maresca is not afraid to take that role away from him and give it to someone else. So I think he honestly needs to start improving very, very quickly before someone else takes that role. We might bring someone else in and they take the role on. We know that Joao Pedro can play there as well. So there's a lot, I think, for Cole Palmer to take away or hopefully gain from this game and then take away and help us progress to the final. But I need to see more from Cole in that 10. Now, on the left-hand side of the attack, tricky one, because I don't think this is a game I wouldn't start Tariq George. I would not start Tariq George. I love him. I think he's a good player, but I think the physicality of this game is going to be potentially too much for him. And I think I said last week, you know, when you get to the knockouts, you want to put out your best squad, your strongest squad. Is he part of that strong 11? I don't think he is. Not yet. He will be, but not yet. So I think we can't play George. I think for me, I wouldn't play Madueke, as I've just explained about his Arsenal potential move there. So I'm gonna go Joao Pedro. I'm gonna go Joao Pedro. Risky move. He can play off the left. He can play across the whole front three. But I'm gonna start him on the left. Because I think Liam Delap will start as the 9. There's an argument that maybe because Maresca has seen a lot more of Jackson, he'll probably favour him. But I think for me, Liam Delap, I know that goal that he scored in the Club World Cup it looked very easy. For me, it wasn't. But I think with Delap, he offers you a lot more going forwards. As I've said before, he knows how to break the, you know, create space between the two centre-backs. He makes those intelligent runs off the ball. He's got a good shot on him. You know, he can create something out of nothing, you know, there's a defender in front of him. So I think he's able to play back against the goal. He's able to, on a half turn, create a chance. I think Delap has to start. And I think ideally, I'd want to see what Joao Pedro can do. And it's a risk, but do you favour Nicholas Jackson on the left? I don't know. Do you play Madueke on the left? I can't see that happening. So I think for me, Delap has to be in the 9. I want to see Joao Pedro. And another thing I'll say about Joao Pedro, if we're not willing to use him, why have we registered him? What's the point in bringing him to the Club World Cup? Let's use him. He's there. It's like having a Lamborghini sat on the drive, but you're driving a Mini Cooper. It just doesn't make any. Go and use the Lamborghini. Go and see what it can do. You might not enjoy it, but you've got the option to drive a Lamborghini, so use it. It's going to be a tricky game. I'm confident we can get the win. I think I'm actually going to go with the same scoreline as 2021. I'm going to go 2-1. I think it won't be extra time this time. I think we will get the job done in normal time, 90 minutes. But it's going to be tough. It's going to be absolutely tough. I said it last week. If we get to this point in the tournament, I want us to go and win it. I'd rather we get to the final and lose than get knocked out at this point in the tournament for us to then have to rearrange. You know, I'm treating this as our preseason. As much as it's a tournament and there's a lot of money to be earned from it and the players are building up their fitness as they go along, I feel like this is our preseason. And let's treat it like that. Let's treat the next 2 games that we've got, hopefully after this, as our preseason. We then have a couple of games lined up with Leverkusen and AC Milan. But let's treat this as the preseason. Let the boys go and have a break after that. And then we come back for, you know, the 2 matches in early August. But I'm confident. Maresca seemed confident in a press conference. I've been confident throughout the whole tournament. I'm going to remain positive. We will win. We will win. Let me know what your thoughts are. Let me know if you're staying up for the game as well. 2 a.m. Philadelphia. I think it's about 75,000 capacity. It won't be, but who cares? We're going to win the game. Let me know your thoughts. Drop your predictions. Drop your scorelines in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe, and we'll be back after the match with the match review.